Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Rain Whaling.
Nothing beats a JetBlue holiday, guys.
Jesus Christ. You know, the audience is probably like, yeah, like the meme.
Yeah.
But I was literally telling you before we got started how that was like an earworm in Ashley's brain, and like I was kind of worried she was having a stroke because that's all she would like. Nothing beats a jet too, and then like there would be like a lull, and then she would do it again, and I'm like, are you having a stroke? Why is this the only thing you're saying right now?
Yeah, it's like you're Tabitha King and you're having to listen to Stephen King play Mambo Number 5 all day, every day in 1999. It was, listen, this is some Stephen King, it's some Stephen King lore,
Okay.
That when Mambo Number 5 came out, he was so obsessed with the song that it would just be playing constantly. And his wife almost filed for divorce over it. So, by 1999, I mean, they had been married for like 30 years or something.
Dude, so she was truly like, oh my
He's
god,
over it.
if I hear this song one more time, I'm leaving him.
Yeah. Legend has it, she strongly considered it. Yeah.
I completely understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dope song, but not for that long.
Yeah, dope song for 1990. Speaking of which, I asked you about this the other day, and I haven't gotten a follow-up, so I'm just gonna ambush you live. Have you watched any of Smosh Summer Games 2005?
It just in passing, because Haley was watching it in the living room, and it was the one where they're having to play telephone, but with like charades and things like that to guess a Broadway plays or something.
But it was so it was telephone. They had to use charades, and then since it was school themed, paper airplanes, and then they had to mouth the word, and it was they had to find the book to find Amanda, who was playing like the judge. Her character was Miss P. She played her as like the teacher that was like, she's only ever been pregnant, and she clearly has like a seething like demon underneath her, So okay, for those of you listening or watching, Smosh used to do this thing called Summer Games, which started off like, I think it was meant to be like a one-off thing, but it was so popular that they kept it going. And then right before the pandemic in 2019, they did Apocalypse, which was kind of fitting. And then they hadn't done it since. And since Anthony came back to Smosh, a lot of people were like, hey, since Anthony's back, new Summer Games. And honestly, this one was rad. It was so funny. They filmed at an actual high school, I'm assuming in Los Angeles. And it's so funny. Ashley and I really wanted to they made merch for all the teams. Those bitches are sold out, and Ashley and I wanted to get at least one each.
Yeah,
they're all sold out, dude. But I would recommend getting on. It's on the Smosh Games YouTube channel. They made a playlist and it has everything that they did, because there are some videos that they did for Summer Games that weren't for points. That was just for fun. Mm-hmm. Like they did Silent Library just for fun, and it's fucking hilarious. They also played a game called Throw Burrito, but it has giant burritos, like giant inflatable size burritos. They did that just for fun. And then the last one is they played Moose Master for fun. But dude, it was really good, and they got Baby No Money for the finale. And it's so good. And the theme was 2005 for some reason. I don't know why that was the theme.
I don't know.
But yeah. I don't know. But I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I went back through over Labor Day weekend and I watched all the ones I missed. And Jesus Christ. The throw burrito is the most insane video I've ever seen them make, because the throw burrito, hang on everyone, this is now an ad for throw burrito, is the most chaotic game I've ever seen. But implementing giant inflatable burritos, dude, like Shane walks through a table at one point, like he's walking forward and there's a table in his way, but he continues to walk like the table's not even there, and is pushing the table across the room to like get to Angela. It's
Jesus.
it's insane. So yeah.
Yeah.
I would watch that.
Okay.
Like right now, we're gonna do it live. So I'm just gonna sit here and watch you like react to
Great.
Smosh Summer Games.
Wow. Amazing podcasting. See, my thing was going to be a little more somber. Because yesterday, I think it was yesterday, we lost Graham
relative
Greene.
to this.
Yeah, relative to this recording, the actor Graham Greene passed away. I'm a huge fan of Graham Greene. If you don't know who he is, he's a Native American actor. He was in The Green Mile, which is how I was first introduced to him. He was also in like Wind River, and he's in Reservation Dogs, and he's been in a lot of stuff. So
yeah, more recently he was in. I'm pretty sure he was in the first season of The Last of Us.
I think that's right. That sounds right.
That scene is really funny. He was also in. Pretty sure he was in. Also, more recently, Echo, the Marvel show Echo.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in Echo, and yeah, he was in The Last of Us.
Whoever's listening, ask your dads, because he's also in Tulsa King, I think. And
God. Yeah, he is.
That's a total dad show. So,
yeah, he's also in Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, really sad. I saw that and I was like, man,
I was super bummed, man. When he popped up in Reservation Dogs, I mean, I couldn't tell you how excited I was that Graham Greene was there. Because it's like, he's such a legend,
Yeah. Well, and I love that the older he's gotten, he keeps doing roles that are just him, probably just him being a crotchety old man.
Yeah.
Like in his one scene in the season 1 of The Last of Us, I really feel like Pedro Pascal was probably having to try really hard not to laugh, because I just, his scene is so funny, even though it's kind of not meant to be funny. But like, he's just like this old man who's, probably survived through everything, and now he's surviving through this, and he's just being crotchety. And then you have Joel just kind of being like, all I want to know if we're near Jackson or not. Like, that's all you have to tell me. Yeah, I think the first thing I've ever seen him in was Dances with Wolves. Absolutely love that movie. For sure, a future pick.
Do you think so? Okay.
Yeah, I love Dances with Wolves, bro.
Right.
Kevin Costner, bro, with that mustache too, that he shaves off like after the first 5 minutes.
Spoilers for Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, spoilers for a 30-year-old movie. No, I was right. 30. Yeah. No. Yeah. 30. I can't do math right now. Yeah, man, it sucks. Lost another great one.
Yeah.
But before we get into today's episode, one more thing. You finally saw Thunderbolts over the weekend.
I did watch Thunderbolts. That's right.
Ashley and I saw that in theaters because we were both very excited for it. And we both loved it. And I was like, you know what? Jeremy would like this. Even though I know you've told me you've had some superhero fatigue
a little bit
lately. I was like, I think he'll like this one. And
and you know what? It was pretty good.
I was right.
Yeah. Obviously, Florence Pugh, I mean, she can do no wrong.
Yeah.
David Harbour was great. I was really impressed by the effect that they used for the for Century being in total darkness, like
when he becomes the Void, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool and it was effective, and I liked the way it looked because it looked like he was just cast in shadow. Like if he were just step a little bit forward, he would be in the light, right? Like that's how it sort of felt.
Mm-hmm.
It was a neat effect. I really liked it. Yeah,
Yeah. How did you feel about the actual title? Because the actual
Um,
title technically is not Thunderbolts, but
right. I am apathetic at best. Like, I mean, it didn't cure my fatigue. Like, I mean, I'm still just like, who fucking cares? But, yeah, I mean, whatever. Yeah, I don't have an opinion about that.
one final thing
Yeah.
before we move on. How much did you not care when they like killed Taskmaster like that fast?
I mean, I barely remembered who she was in the
Dude,
I was like,
well,
was she in Black Widow? Is that where she was?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Here's what's so crazy. Marvel shot themselves in the foot with that from the jump. So like the original image, like the original poster that they had released had them all on it. And no, I'm sorry. The first concept art had them all, including Taskmaster. And then the first official poster, I think Taskmaster was missing. And people started to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they should have done a Drew Barrymore. I don't know why they don't just like leave people. So that's what made. Listen, this isn't the Scream episode of this podcast, but that's what made Scream so effective. Is like the most famous person in your cast is murdered in the first 10 minutes. You know what I mean? That's what that's what's gonna draw you in. Now, it wouldn't have mattered because like do people like who love Marvel even give a shit about Taskmaster? Like who cares, right?
No, yeah,
like do they even remember that far? Like
I distinctly remember a lot of people being really upset with, well, because Taskmaster, look, we don't have enough time, but like I remember a lot of people not liking how the reveal of Taskmaster and stuff like that. Okay, no, I was wrong. Taskmaster is on the official poster. But then like in subsequent trailers, she was gone, and people were like, okay, wait, she's on the poster, but now she's not showing up in the trailer. And so a lot of people are like, oh, then she dies.
Yeah.
Point blank. Well, and apparently, no, you know what? No, if I keep talking about it, we're gonna be on this forever, and we need to get
you're gonna
to
be
the movie.
I'm just gonna be
I'm gonna be on this forever. You're gonna be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you liked it, dude. And again, I love Lewis Pullman. He's so hot right now.
Yeah.
He's getting to play with his dad, Bill Pullman, in the Spaceballs sequel.
Oh, cool.
He's going to be Lone Star's son, which I'm like, that's perfect.
That is perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, everyone, I'm going to get back onto task.
Stop it.
With today's episode. And if you tuned in last week, which some of you did, Kingdom of Heaven actually had some pretty good, some pretty better than Breakfast Club, which is insane.
Insane.
If you tuned in last week, today we are talking about the 1964 musical comedy. I liked what you said, commercial for the Beatles' next album, A Hard Day's Night. I really don't know why, because this wasn't on my list. I don't know why. I was like, you know what? Why not? Because I gave Ashley the choice. It was either between this or Sorcerer. I'm kind of glad she chose this because I want to save Sorcerer.
Okay.
But I was like, I don't know. I think it's because I've just been hearing a lot about A Hard Day's Night, and I was like, yeah, why not? Now this was a first watch for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a bunch of fun. Um, it's super silly and it doesn't take itself seriously. Neither do they,
Yeah.
which is fitting. Yeah, it was just a bunch of fun. It was just a lighthearted romp, you know? I think that it does have some important things to say, whether intentional or not. Um, but overall, it was just super fun and just if you like the Beatles, man, like this is it, you know. Um, I mean, if you don't, this isn't the movie for you, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it as well. I didn't know what to expect going into it because I knew they were playing themselves. But that's kind of all I knew, is
yeah,
that they were playing themselves. And from the jump, I was like, oh, okay, they're playing uh, versions of themselves, um, which is kind of insane to think about. And what I was texting you when I was watching the movie, which is, this movie almost adds, as a contemporary 2024 viewer of this.
I mean, we're in 2025, but
Oh
uh,
yeah, 2025. Jesus Christ. Um, of this 60-year-old movie. Um, this movie almost adds to the mythos surrounding the Beatles, which I maybe we'll get to, maybe not. But that being said, so A Hard Day's Night. Hard Day's Night in its simplest terms, because there's honestly not that much of a plot. I mean, there is a plot, but
I mean,
the movie
is
is
there?
the movie is kind of nonsensical. But the movie follows the Beatles um, across a 36-hour period, essentially a day in the life of them, what they have to deal with, their scheduling with their manager. The bulk of the movie is them just trying to get to this television performance, and just kind of the in between of like having to go do like a press conference that they're really not wanting to do, and um all the while there is this subplot of Paul McCartney's grandfather trying to stir up trouble and be a little con man, and and honestly that's the best I can do for the synopsis, because again the movie is very nonsensical, um and very just all over the place in terms of setting, in terms of what's happening. It felt very much like when we did uh Todd Hayes's I'm Not There,
Mhm.
um in terms of just being kind of all over the place, um but I guess what I really liked is that, and I'm going to use the verbiage that Criterion used on their website for the movie, which is that the Beatles are playing a slapstick version of themselves. um I showed Ashley some scenes and she was like, what is happening? Why are they behaving like that? And I was like, it's because the movie's trying to present them as like, oh, we're just, like, we're like little mischievous guys, like we just like to have fun, which, I mean, I'm sure they were like that in real life, but I mean, it was very fascinating to watch John Lennon, who, again, as a modern viewer, has this air about him. Watch him just act like, I guess, act like a cartoon character, really.
Yeah, yeah. He did later on become very serious.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, this is genuinely what they were like back then, for sure. There's old interview footage of them doing just that. I mean, just being ridiculous and not answering the questions, and um, giving joke answers and all that. There was one where they asked John what his ideal woman was, and he said, "My wife," you know. And then
Uh-huh.
they went directly to George and like, "George, what about you?" And he goes, "John's wife," you know. And like, so when they're doing those little quick news interviews, and they ask George like, oh, "What do you call that hairstyle?" He goes, "Arthur," and
Yeah.
my favorite, which they asked Paul, they're like, "Hey, have you spoken to your father recently?" He goes, "No, we're just really good friends." That I genuinely made me laugh. That was so funny to me.
Well,
But
and
that's
that
what they're like.
he keeps saying it.
Yeah,
Oh no, we're just really good friends.
no, we're just really good friends. I'm definitely going to use that anytime anyone asks me about my dad. I'm just going to be like, "Oh, we're just really good friends." Um,
And he wouldn't have it any other way.
I think so. Um, yeah, but I mean, there's um, there's one interview that I really liked that I watched today. It was just focused on George and Paul, and they asked Paul like, "Hey, some say that I think it was Day Tripper was about a prostitute, and then this other song they said was about a lesbian. Can you comment on that? Can you say why, like, the New York Times would, say that, and like, is there any evidence of that?" And blah blah blah. He goes,
Uh-huh.
"Hey man, I'm just out here trying to write songs about lesbians and prostitutes. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, just giving stupid joke answers. Like none of this matters,
Yeah.
And they sort of got that immediately. Like, I don't think they ever started out with, "We need to take this seriously," you know.
Yeah.
Um, they've always just been, "This doesn't matter. Like, who cares?" You know, which I appreciate from the Beatles.
Yeah.
Um, and they don't take themselves seriously, and you can tell that with this movie in general, and just with like the archival footage of them, in interviews and things like that. They're just silly. They're just, they like to make music, and they, enjoy performing it. They, that's all they want to do. Everything else is sort of in the way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I I, I definitely feel like there are moments where they definitely, if there was a script, I mean, there had to have been a script, because as I was texting you, like, no one said they were great actors. Uh, like, no one's winning an Academy Award here. Um, but there are times where you notice that they clearly go off script, especially Lennon. Lennon seemed like he was the one having the most fun,
Yeah.
um, just doing random things and like making random faces. Like, after I finished the movie, I've said this a lot about some of the movies we've done this season, where I'll tell Ashley and I'm like, I think you would have really liked this movie. Um, and I told her with this, I was like, I know it's in black and white, which she can't really do a black and white movie, but I was like, I know it's in black and white, but I really think you would, I truly think you would have liked this. And I put it on for her, relative to this recording yesterday. And she was like, she thought it was the funniest thing when Shake at the beginning of the movie is giving them all drinks on the
Yeah.
train car, and he hands John Coke seemingly, and John keeps doing this,
Yeah.
and she's like, he's snorting Coke. Like, I get it. And I was like, what? Because I didn't catch it the first time,
Uh-huh.
and I rewound it a little bit, and I was like, oh. She was like, what is he even doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure that's just Lennon being Lennon,
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
they've clearly taken inspiration from like the Marx Brothers, for instance,
mhm.
especially with their really fast dialogue and their back and forths. Um, I think the overall hero to me of this movie, um, and the person that made me laugh the most was the grandfather. Was Wilfred Bramble. He's so funny, and there are moments that he has that I'm genuinely, I mean, I'm laughing so hard when he is at the poker table, and he quickly pretends to be a waiter so he can get a chip so he can continue to play. That was hilarious, you know. Um,
Uh-huh.
when the part that made me laugh the hardest, okay, through the
Okay.
whole movie was backstage of that variety show. He playfully hits that guy in the arm that has the 10 disappearing doves,
Uh-huh.
and he kills one, and the guy
And
has
he
to cross out 10 and put 9. I'm dying, dude. It's so funny.
well, and that he like shakes out the feathers
The
from his
feathers out of his
sleeve.
like, that's
Yeah.
hilarious, man. You know?
Um so I'm gonna be honest, the grandfather subplot, I was just like,
Oh, I mean, it's
so we
nonsense and it doesn't matter, and it's sort of like I agree that it doesn't serve any purpose, you know?
well, and I
Um,
was gonna say, like, when writing the script, they were like, we need to give the Beatles an antagonist. How about Paul has to watch his con man of a grandfather? Perfect.
Perfect.
Um
When they first meet him in the train car, I thought he was joking. Like, I thought this
oh yeah.
poor man is just sitting there and they're, just, picking on him and just like, yeah, this is my grandpa, and
Yeah.
he's obviously
Same.
lying, you know? And it's like, oh no, he really is. Like, that's so bizarre because the way he was reacting to them was, no, he's not. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so bizarre. Um, yeah, man, this movie's weird. Um,
Wait, you mean to tell me a Beatles movie was
I mean,
weird?
it was weird because, like, you're right, the plot is razor thin. I mean, you could barely call it a plot, right?
Yeah.
Um, the songs are fantastic,
Of course.
obviously, right? Um, there is at some points like musical logic to things, like where they're in the cage with their with his grandfather,
Oh yeah,
and then
and Ringo has his drums all of a sudden.
yeah, and they all have their instruments, right? It's sort of like, oh, okay, so this is this kind of logic. This is like a musical, right? And then it's not in some cases, which is also fine. Um, like it's just sort of all over the place, which is fine. This movie is unbelievably beloved by Beatles fans and fans of musicals in general. Um, if it wasn't for that scene, I don't know if I would have considered it a musical per se. Um,
Yeah, kind of almost kind of like what would later be, School of Rock, where it's a movie with musical
with
elements, but
yeah,
it's not
with
a
musical
musical.
performances, yeah, like
Yeah.
Inside Llewyn Davis, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not to say I didn't enjoy it, right? It's very silly, it's very slapstick. These guys are, they're putting in the work. It is genuinely funny. Um, but I think what's really interesting is that I don't know if they did this on purpose, okay?
Okay.
But to me, I thought that they were sort of shining a light on the negative side of fame and notoriety because they can't
Okay.
go anywhere, right? This is
Yeah.
this is right before Beatlemania, so they're not like uber famous, but they're pretty
They're
famous.
they're UK
They're UK
famous.
famous, right? I mean, like everyone in the UK knows they are, basically, and they haven't done Ed Sullivan yet. So,
Yeah.
but like they're having to do all this stuff, but then they always try to escape that thing that they have to do, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
always going and doing something else. And I thought maybe they were trying to say like, like this is a bummer. Like all we want to do is make music and have fun and do all this other stuff, but the business has us do this, right?
Right.
The business side, the marketing side, the capital Beatles stuff we have to do. Like answer all this fan mail, which like the I was starting to feel bad for Ringo, Okay, a little bit. But then they make up for it where he's got like a humongous stack of female. Um, and
Well, I
he's
was
so
gonna say,
self-deprecating, but he's also so sought after by women that but he's so insecure that he just like whatever, like, you know. Um, but anyway, I saw it as an indictment of the music industry in of itself, right?
mhm.
Where they're just kids, really. I mean, they're not kids, but
Yeah, they're still in their early 20s,
yeah.
So, yeah, um,
But their lives have completely changed. I mean, there's several scenes of them running away from vans. You know,
yeah. So, so I didn't pick up on that at all.
that's fine.
No, I will say though, it makes sense to have this sort of subtext layer of like, we're four best friends. We just want to make music. We want to make music. And we want to have a good time. Um, which would explain why, their manager is constantly like, "Don't go anywhere,"
Yeah,
because he knows that they're going to try to go somewhere. But they also ultimately always end up showing up when they're needed.
yeah,
So it's like, even though there is like, this subtext of being famous is hard, um it's also like they know like, well, we do need to fulfill these obligations
of
kind of
course.
thing.
Yeah,
you know so I guess it's still like a, maybe they're presenting it again. I didn't pick up on this, but I do like that. No, I do like that. So maybe they're presenting it as it's a double-edged sword,
yeah,
where on the one side, like, we just want to have fun, but on the other side, it's like, well, we have obligations that we did commit to. We have to see it through, kind of thing.
yeah. I can't
Maybe.
imagine being that famous, right? I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
if anybody can until they're there. Um,
yeah.
because not to be able to go anywhere. I mean, even Ringo can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
Although it's interesting that all he does to go incognito is put on a hat and a trench coat,
sorry, you need.
and then people don't know it's him.
Well, he's wearing the classic Beatles suit, so it's
That's
you
true.
know he's got to change. Um, yeah, you know, I don't know. I also appreciate within the recent years, Ringo has gotten a resurgence in popularity and respect. I don't know if you know this,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
um,
yeah.
because people have started listening to isolated drum tracks of Beatles songs, and they're like, "Oh, this is really interesting." These aren't just basic rhythms. These aren't your basic rock um, drum organizations or um, compositions. These are complex drum moves. I mean, these are really interesting um, rhythms that he's doing. So that's cool. I'm really glad that he's getting the respect he deserves because he is very good. Maybe not in songwriting, but definitely in behind the drums. I mean, he's amazing.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, even watching this movie, like, I love that the camera. We get ample time with each Beatle playing their instrument, and we really get to see how proficient they all are. That it's not, I feel like there's this conception of the Beatles that it's very, like what you were saying, like almost kind of very basic uh music composition, but then you see them performing it, and yeah, they're lip syncing and playing over a pre-recorded track,
Yeah,
but they're still hitting the correct notes. um
yeah,
and so, yeah, seeing Ringo like actually play, or play the like, he knows what he's doing, and I do find it a little sad that, especially during this time in their career, that you know uh a lot of the fans loved the other three more than Ringo.
yeah,
But it's also like, but the movie also kind of leans into that. It's almost like they know
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that people love everyone else more than Ringo, um, which is sad because I think Ringo is. I think, especially now, I think he's very well regarded. One of my one of my favorite things of him is in Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping, because he's one of the talking heads in the documentary. And one of my my favorite line is he's like, he's releasing this song about gay marriage and like it's not allowed. It's allowed now. Like it's so good, and because he plays it so straight. Like he's not trying to be funny. It's very matter of fact, and
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, one of my favorite sequences in the movie, and this is one of the scenes I showed Ashley. I don't know why I loved it so much. It was the scene in which they're rehearsing for the show, and they start rehearsing And I Love Her.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know why, but something about how that was filmed, the song itself, I was like, I really, this is where I started to feel like I feel like as a modern viewer, this movie adds sort of to the mythos of the Beatles and this sort of mythology that people have surrounding them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what it was. Like I can't tell you why I was thinking that, but I was just like, man, like the combination of the song and even the camera movements, I was just like, this is kind of peak right now.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. No, it was good. No, I agree.
uh, like I said, can't tell you why, but yeah. So okay, so can I tell you a scene that made me laugh the hardest?
Yeah.
um it was when George Harrison tears down that like teen magazine editor
Yeah.
because like their spokeswoman, he's like, oh no, you sit at the telly and you have a laugh at her. And they're like, and he's just like, make note not to renew her contract next year. That scene made me laugh because but that also leans into your theory, now that I've been saying it out loud, of kind of like the hubris of fame. That this girl is famous, and they didn't realize they were talking to an actual Beatle. They thought he was just a normal person, and in their mind, this normal person is saying that their spokesperson is dull and doesn't know what she's talking about. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, this movie's it's it's hard to talk about because there's not much going on besides, bits and shtick.
Yeah.
Like them just playing outside in the field for, that montage sequence,
Uh-huh.
It was filmed really interestingly. Like, I guess they had a crane or a helicopter or something. That was cool.
And then they went handheld at one point.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just mostly just bits and shtick and them just having fun and not taking themselves seriously and just, cracking jokes and, it's a good time. It's nothing too serious, I may be reaching with my, theory of them, having an indictment on the entertainment industry and in the music industry, in the business side, but overall, I mean, it's just like if you love the Beatles, it's like, yeah, this is everything,
Yeah.
In the context of the time, I mean, it's super interesting because it's not your typical musical, it's not your typical even rock musical, because of all of the shtick,
Yeah.
and them just doing whatever they want. it's just super interesting. And then having this grandfather through line is super bizarre, and it's odd, but I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm not trying to run out of steam or anything, but I mean, it wasn't until earlier today, I was like, oh man, I think this movie is going to be a little hard to talk about just because, you know, when we've talked about some of like the surreal movies that we've talked about, that's hard to talk about because surrealism is very subjective and very up to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just hard because not much is happening. And you're right, it's a bunch of bits. It's like when we did Office Space. Shout out to our Office Space episode.
Office Space. I love
Um, so do I. You know, that movie is primarily, even though it does have an actual plot,
right.
that movie is also just a bunch of bits happening. Um, um, but yeah, you know, I would say the most serious that it gets is when John Lennon talks to that stagehand.
Yeah.
Because she thinks, you know, she thinks he is John Lennon, and he's like, "Oh no, I just been told I look like him." Um, and it's almost very like sullen when she's like, "You know, you don't look like him at all," and he's just kind of like, and like walks away very like almost depressed, like, "Oh, oh, okay."
Well, you know, maybe, you know, that's sort of, you know, there is the stage John Lennon and there's the real John Lennon, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, I think you would just assume that they're, you know, kind of serious, or, you know, like they take themselves seriously. You would assume so. Like they end up being like John Lennon, ends up being the most serious person.
Yeah.
It's Yoko's fault, I'm sure of it. But
I mean, she broke up the Beatles. I mean, you
I
know.
agreed. But yeah, I think that might be something like, you know, the difference between a stage persona and then your actual self, right?
Uh-huh.
Or it could just be just like a funny bit that they're doing. I don't know, you know. Although I did, so something fun that people can do at home, if you're listening to this, God, if you've made it this far, I highly recommend going on YouTube, going to My Guitar Gently Weeps Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performance. And it's got a whole bunch of people, like the lead singer of Electric Light Orchestra, Tom Petty. There's a bunch of people there, right? And they're playing While My
Mm-hmm.
Guitar Gently Weeps. And in the background, right, this video is known for the ending of the video, which is Prince's guitar solo, which is unbelievable. It is incredible. And he shows up out of nowhere, melts your face off, and leaves. Like he doesn't stay for the rest of the song, right? But anyway, in the background, there's a guy playing the guitar, and you're thinking to yourself, that's George Harrison, right? But that's
Uh-huh.
impossible because he's dead, right? It's his
Yeah.
son, George Harrison Jr., I think. And they look identical. I was showing Haley because I go, okay, you see him right there? Look at this. And I looked up his son, just Google Images, and she goes, oh, that's the same person. I go, I know, it's crazy, you know. It's amazing how much they look like one another. But anyway.
Is it like the theory of, you know, that Paul McCartney's been dead, they just cloned him?
I I watched a whole documentary about that when I was in high school, where Paul McCartney died in 1966, and they just got a look-alike. And then I thought to myself, you know, after the documentary was insane. It's like they've left clues. It's like no, they didn't. But
Well,
it's insane. But I thought to myself, it's like, well, wouldn't by now he's been Paul McCartney longer than Paul McCartney was, right? So it's like, just give it to him if it is real, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, dude, obviously it's not,
Obviously,
but uh, there's also the theory of like that Paul McCartney had cancer and that's why he was barefoot on the Abbey Road cover.
it's
Uh,
so silly, you know.
that's it's like no, he probably was like, guys, wouldn't it be cool if I just didn't wear shoes?
Yeah,
And they're like, yeah, sure, Paul,
like, I
do
don't
whatever
care.
you want.
I don't care, whatever. Yeah, yeah, that that theory is insane. If you want to go down sort of a silly rabbit hole, yeah, there's a theory that Paul McCartney died in 1966, was replaced by a lookalike, and that they have left lots of indications throughout their music career and their album covers, especially, that Paul McCartney is dead, which
Uh,
is insane. But it's fun to think about, I guess.
yeah. So to kind of end because it feels like we're
This
barreling
super
towards
short
the wrap
episode,
up.
that's fine.
Yeah. To do this before we do the wrap up, I was telling you off mic that after finishing the movie, I've been listening to a lot of Beatles lately, and it was kind of like how you felt about when we did was it Lost Highway or was it was Wild at Heart. That was it. When we did Wild at Heart, where it was a good test for you to realize that you love Lynch for Lynch.
Yeah.
That it's not just like because his name is on the movie, like, well, I automatically love it. You know, it was the same thing for me. Like I genuinely was like, okay, because this is part of the wrap up. I did really enjoy the movie. I thought it was great. I will probably make Ashley watch it, even though I'm sure what little I did show her, she was kind of like, what is happening?
What is this?
But I did want to know, I'm like, do I love the Beatles because I love the hits that everyone knows, or do I genuinely really love their music? And I can confidently say, like, I do really love their music because that's all I've been listening to for the last 48 hours. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
I saw Paul McCartney in concert when I was in college.
Really?
Yeah. Fucking rad. So good.
Dude, I love the meme of him performing Live and Let Die, and it's like, you know, Paul McCartney performs Live and Let Die, and then fucking blows up. And it's because like when he
Yeah.
does, you know, Live and Let Die, and it's like all these explosions.
Well, they did a whole bunch of pyrotechnics for that, and he pretended to be startled, you know. We're like, oh, he's too old to play that joke. Yeah.
Yeah, especially considering, you know, half the Beatles are alive right now, so
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that being said, are you ready to wrap up this very
I know.
it's not super short. I mean, it's still probably going to crest over about an hour.
You think?
Yeah, because minus the 6 minutes of bullshit that it's going to have to get cut out.
You think that was
still
only 6 minutes?
Oh, I know it was 6 minutes.
Oh, okay.
We're still at 50 minutes, you know?
Yeah, okay.
I would say as long as an episode doesn't only do like 45 minutes, then I think we're holding ourselves to a good standard.
I think so.
But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I wish I wouldn't have been so busy on Monday. I would have loved to watch the 4K. I watched it on my phone on Max. It would still look great.
Yeah,
but that was the whole reason why I bought it on 4K, was to like watch it on 4K. But I still really enjoyed it. I told Mom, I was like, you got to check it out. It's pretty crazy. And she was like, yeah, I've been meaning to look at it, and like you should watch it.
All right.
Well, with that being said, buddy,
Yeah.
What are we talking about next week? And should I be afraid?
I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing. So this movie is so interesting, right? Because when I saw it the first time, I did not like it. I would go out of my way to say I didn't like it. I'd be like, I get it. Like, I understood the allegory, the messaging. Like, I understood the symbolism. I understood all of that, but I just didn't like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing: is I couldn't stop thinking about it, and there was something about it that I was just like, I need to revisit it, and I normally don't do that, but I should. Everybody should. If you don't like a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it didn't make you super angry, try it again. And maybe you'll like it the second time, because I watched it the second time and I loved it.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, like, I was an idiot. Like, this is great. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was well crafted. I thought that its use of liminal space was so effective in conveying isolation and loneliness, and having a piece of yourself that you feel like would ruin your life if anyone knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that being said, next week we are discussing Jane Schoenburn's I Saw the TV Glow. Next week.
Yes. I am so excited because I really wanted to see this movie when it was first announced. I was super excited, and I remember mentioning it to you. And to piggyback on what you just said, I distinctly remember you saying, I hated it.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
And I was like, oh man, really? I was like, but you got Justice Smith, and you're like, yeah, I know who's in it. I didn't like it. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Completely changed my mind.
I was like, well, I'm gonna get it anyway, so I'm gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah.
And you were like, fine, I guess.
Fine. Have fun.
And dude, all of my, I follow A24 on Instagram. They've been posting a lot of stuff about it. And I'm like, I know, I'm gonna see the movie. Okay, I want to watch the movie. Dude, I'm really excited now. I might have to tell Ashley to let me buy it, even though I don't think it would come in time.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it would
you
either.
Can try,
Yeah. Dude, I'm so excited especially because like I've heard that Fred Durst is in it.
He is. I didn't know that the first time I saw it. I didn't even recognize it. Right.
Well, see, and that's what I heard, is that like you don't realize that's Fred Durst, and then you're like, oh my God.
It's not obvious nor important that it's Fred Durst. So like,
oh, okay.
The fact that you find out later it's Fred Durst, you're like, why? Like, it's so bizarre.
But to tie back to the top of the show, I've heard Shane on Smosh make a lot of jokes about the movie. I think he really liked the movie, but he's made a lot of jokes about it, and I was like, that's how I found out about Fred Durst being in the movie.
It's wild. Once you realize it's him, you're like, that's so weird.
But yeah, isn't it like a coming of age thriller kind of thing?
It is a coming of age story. It's very ominous. It's very it's hard to put it in words what it is, because once you see it, you're gonna understand like why I find it so visually interesting. And why I think that it's so effective in what it's trying to say. And I think the ending's gonna blow your mind. The ending's gonna be like, you're like, that's the ending? It's gonna blow. Because you're gonna have questions, right? And I think that's the point of it. Jack Haven takes some getting used to.
Okay.
Part of the reason why I didn't like the movie the first time was their performance. But it's fine, you know. So yeah.
Cool, man.
I saw the TV.
Cool. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I'm so excited. Cool, man. Cool. Well, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this relatively short episode on A Hard Day's Night, and we will see you next week for I Saw the TV Glow.